ways with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Shakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
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 Mukham karoti vacharam pagum nagayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataram yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataram. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. We will read one verse before we go to the GITA NAGARI essay, and from the first canto, chapter 2. Yesterday we read 20, so we are reading 21. Vidyate Hridaya Grantish Chidhyante Sarva Samshaya Kriyante Shasya Karmani Drista Eva Atmani Ishvare Vidyate Hridaya Grantish Chidhyante Sarva Samshaya Kriyante Shasya Karmani Drista Evat Manishvare Vidyate Hridaya Grantish Chidhyante Sarva Samshaya Kriyante Chasya Karmani Dristva Evat Manishvare Vidyate Hridaya Grantish Dhiyan Chidyante Sarva Samshaya Kriyante Chasya Karmani Drista Evat Manishvare. Vidyate hridaya grantish Siddhante sarva samshayah Yante karmani Manishpade
Vidyate hridaya grantesh
Vidyate
Siddhyante sarva samshayah
Siddhante sarva samshayah
Shriyante chasya karmani
Shriyante sarva karmani
Drishta evatmanishvare
Vidyate pierced Hridaya heart Grantihi knots Chidyante cut to pieces Sarva all Samshayah misgivings Kshiyante terminated Cha also Asya his Karmani chain of fruitive actions Driste having seen Eva certainly Atmani unto the whole unto the self Ishvare um, dominating. Yeah. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Thus the knot of the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. Kindly repeat after me. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are cut to uh, pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. This verse is the culmination of a series of verses. What happens, what kind of transformation is expected when one takes up to the recommended process, which is, of course, the process of bhakti, or devotional service. Um, after yesterday, we read about one will become situated in sattva guna, in the mode of goodness, uh, which allows him to more nicely, more easily execute or practice devotional service, and also to gain transcendental realization. Right. Uh, Today's verse is the continuation of this. That if one applies oneself in this way, then gradually, by the process of purification, uh, this hard knot, which is within everyone's heart, uh, this knot will be cut, and therefore one will become freed or liberated from the contact with the modes of material nature. So we continue our reading from the essay on Gita Nagari. Yesterday we started conception 2, and we were pointing out how some sections are repetitious, and by sunset today you will have that ready. Yeah, you just put up both together and you can just, yeah, then it will make it easier. So yesterday we had read up to text number 2, and now we will begin The third point, as explained by Srila Prabhupada, which is um, in connection with allowing, starting what Gandhi coined as the Harijan movement. Mahatma Gandhi started the Harijan movement in order to raise the status of the fallen people, either by social injustice or otherwise. But such movement may not be restricted only amongst the Bangis and Chamas, who are proclaimed as such by social injustice. But such movement may be extended amongst even those who are passing in the society as Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. But in practice, their mentality is more degraded than the lowest of the Bangis and Chamas. Harijan means the associate of God Himself. Chamars and Bangis, or for that matter, people of the mentality of Chamars and Bangis, can never be promoted to the position of the Harijan unless and until such persons are helped to go up to the place of the Harijan by methods approved by the Harijan, such as Arjuna, Prahlad, Dhruva Maharaj, Jamaraj, Bhishma, Janaka, Narada, Vyas, etc. There is no bar for anyone to rise up to that position of Harijan, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita in the following lines. Mam hi partha vipasritya yepi papayonaya striyo vaishastata shudras yepi anti param gatim. Translation to text 32 of the 9th chapter, O son of Pritha, those who take birth in me, though they may be lower birth, are women, Vaishyas, merchants, and Shudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. Mam chayo vyabhisarena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaetan Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the Lord. And thus comes to the level of Brahman. So that was text number 3, Harijana movement, which is giving opportunity to everyone to take up to the process. Now we begin number 4. Some portion is the same, but we'll see here some portion is different. Mahatma Gandhi did not approve of the present caste system as prevailing in India, and there is ample support of this movement of casteless society in the Bhagavad Gita in its own way. Casteless. Sometimes Prabhupada uses casteless and sometimes classless. Huh? I think he kind of like interchanges. Yeah. I think we read yesterday, maybe or the day before, classless. Yeah. Mm. So casteless society do not does not mean that there will be no action, no section or subsection of social division, because without that, no society can exist. But there may not be any caste simply for the sake of birthright accidents. Bhagavad Gita proves the caste system in terms of mundane quality acquired, but not in terms of accidental or accidents of birth. It is said there as follows: Chaturvarnam maya system
Chaturvarnyamaya shrishtam
gunakarma vibhagasah
gunakarma vibhagasha
tasya kartaram apimam
tasya kartaram abhima
vidya kartaram avyayam.
vidya kartaram avyayam.
According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. Then there's a whole series of verses. Where are they taken from? Oh, Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. So in the 18th chapter, Prabhupada is quoting here. Brahma Kshatriya Visham
Brahmana kshatriya visham
Shudranam Cha Parantapa
shudranam cha parantapa
Karmani Prabhibhaktani
कर्माणि प्रविभक्तानि
Swabhava Prabhavar Gunai
स्वभाव प्रभवेर्गुणैः
Shamodamastapa Shaucham
शमोदमस्तवा शौचम्
Krantir Arjavameva Cha
क्षान्तिरार्जवमेव च
Jnanam Vijnanamastikyam
ज्ञानं विज्ञानमास्तिक्यम्
Brahma Karma Subhavajam
ब्रह्मकर्म स्वभावजम्
Chaudhyam Tejo Trithir is Daksham
शौर्यं तेजो धृते दाक्ष्यम्
Jude Sapya Palayanam
युद्धे चाप्यपलायनम्
Dinam Ishvara Bhavascha
दानम् ईश्वरभावश्च
Kshatram Karma Swabhavajam
क्षात्रकर्म स्वभावजम्
Krishi Gorakshavanijam
कृषि गोरक्षवाणिज्यम्
Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam
वैश्यकर्म स्वभावजम्
Parichayat Makam Karma
परिचर्यात्मकं कर्म
Shudrasyapi Swabhavajam.
शूद्रस्यापि स्वभावजम्.
Yes. So translation here: Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own natures in accordance with the material modes, or chastiser of the enemy. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by work, the Brahmanas work. And then heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. Mm. And the last, farming, cow protection, and business are the natural work for the Vaishyas, and for the Shudras. There is there is labor and service to others. That is from the 18th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, text 41 to 44. So Prabhupada continues here. Uh, so, yes, earlier in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is speaking about Chaturvanyam. And then later in the Bhagavad Gita, he speaks about the Varnas. Uh, so therefore, if we understand what is Bhagavad Gita and that it is the containing the eternal teachings of the Lord, therefore uh, we can understand, should understand this subject matter of Varna and Asrama as as an eternal reality also. So here, Prabhupada continues, there are three modes of nature. Okay, I'll let you read like yesterday. You can come up closer so people can hear.
There are three modes of nature working all over the world, and they are called the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. And every man or every animal is under the influence of either of the above mentioned modes of nature. As such, it is a mistake to calculate the modes of nature as working within the boundaries of India only. But it is quite reasonable that such natural laws are working in the other parts of the world. In human society, there are undoubtedly men of such different qualities, namely men under the influence of the mode of goodness, called the qualified Brahmanas, those who are under the mode of passion, called the Kshatriyas, those who are under the influence of passion come ignorance are called Vaishyas, and last of all, the men under the influence of mode of ignorance are called the Shudras. The mode of ignorance, as it goes down by degrees, produces men of such qualities as are called Yavana, Lecha, Kiratas, Punas, Andhras, Pulindas, Pulkashas, Abhiras, Shumbhas, Kasadayas, etc. And there are 4 lakh kinds of men all over this universe. From Gita Nagari, this universal truth must be propagated systematically so that real human society may be re-established for the benefit of all. Dividing men according to the natural mode by such approved processes are as are called practical psychology or anything else. Such social order all over the world will be known as the institution of quality caste system, and every human being will have the right to qualify himself by education, culture to enter into the higher status of life in the same manner as the varsity or different studies affects the facility to one and all. Casteless society will never allow. Of course, to place in the same category a high court judge and a laborer, some laborer of the mill, unless such society has gone into madness. On the contrary, by establishment of such casteless society, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, nobody will be grudging if one is recognized as qualified Brahmana on his merit, only as one is recognized a graduate by his merit only. Such casteless society is reasonable and acceptable.
Yes.
The Gita Nagari may properly utilize the huge fund collected to commemorate Mahatma Gandhi in this manner, as above mentioned in four principal heads, because Gandhi's memory can only be preserved by his exemplary activities and not by simply erecting some big buildings or statues as we see the general tendency. The Bhagavad Gita asks every big man to perfect his life with the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and then set himself as an example for the benefit of people in general. It is said there, Yad Yad Acharati Shrestha
यद्यदचरति
Tattad Evataro Jana
शस्तस्तत्तदिवेतरो जनः
Sayat Pramanam Kurute
स यत् प्रमाणं कुरुते
Lokastad Anuvartate.
लोकस्तद् अनुवर्तते.
Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by his exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 20. It is foolish to follow the proverbial principle of putting a cart before a horse or putting old wine into a new bottle. It shall be the duty of Gita Nagari to agitate against the Gandhi Memorial Fund being utilized otherwise than in the manner befitting the teachings of Bhagavad Gita approved by Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi fought with the adamant British imperialism by his indigenous method with a touch of spiritual strength, and after obtaining our independence by such method, we simply imitate the mode of Western civilization. Certainly, it will be difficult for us to preserve such independence by some foolish plans made in London. If we want to preserve our independence at all, we must give up the London made ideas so scrupulously adhered to by our political leaders. If we eat fire, we must be ready to pass cinders. The mode of Western civilization is sure to produce such social upheaval such as Bolshevism or communism. And if India wants to set an example of social peace and prosperity, she must be ready to accept the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. The specialty of Mahatma Gandhi's movement was that beginning from the Charka up to the end of his life singing Ramdhun by chanting Raghupati Raghava Rajaram, all were indigenous methods and none of them were borrowed from the Western philosophers. Even when he attended the Round Table Conference in London, he was present in London. He was present there in his indigenous dress without monkeying the Europeans as others do. And for this behavior, he was never disrespected. But on the contrary, he was welcomed there as an independent king would have been. As such, if we open some big hospitals to accommodate the diseased persons in greater number and thereby encourage the process of infecting diseases or erect some marble statues as the place of sitting for crows to leave their stool, then certainly we shall be doing disservice to Mahatma Gandhi, who was 10% Indian in thought and action.
Yeah.
Mahatma Gandhi wanted to cure the disease of the heart. He always pleaded for a change of heart for the asuras, and that is the root disease that is thought to be cured by the method of Bhagavad Gita. Such disease is caused by the process of forgetfulness of our eternal relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And the seed of such disease germinates in different stages within the heart, called the potential state, undeveloped state, and developed state, or in other words, in the subconscious state and conscious state, and then in the manifestation. The Indians must set examples to open hospitals to cure diseases of the heart in different stages, and the mode of treatment shall be conducted in Gita Nagari according to the plan of Bhagavad Gita. Unless one has purified one's heart, no amount of antiseptic methods can save him from destruction. One must be purified both externally and internally. Externally means physiologically and internally means psychologically. Physiological treatment will never help. Physiological treatment will never help us to remain free from the diseases because all diseases sprout at the beginning psychologically. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita as follows. भूमिरपो नळवायु
भूमिरपो नलो वायु
मनो बुद्धिरेव च
मनो बुद्धिरेव च
अहंकार इति यम्मे
अहंकार इति यम्मे
भिन्न प्रकृतिरस्तदा
भिन्न प्रकृतिरस्तदा
अपरेयम् इतस्त्वन्याम्
अपारेयं वितस्त्वन्यं
प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे परम्
प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे परम्
जीवभूता महाभाहो
जीवभूतं महाबाहो
ययेदं धार्यते जगत्
ययेदं धार्यते जगत्.
earth, water, fire, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All these together, all these eight constitute my separated material energy. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entity who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Bhagavad Gita 7, chapter 4. ममैवांशो जीवलोके
Mamaevangsho jivaloke
जीवभूता सनातन
jivabhuta sanatana
मनःशस्त्रियं मनःशस्तानि इन्द्रियाणि
manashasta nindriyani
प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति.
prakriti sthanika shati.
The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with six senses, which include the mind. Bhagavad Gita 15, chapter 7.
So Prabhupada is making the point how the Gita Nagari will be like place of treatment or hospital. And the cure, just like we Bhaktivinoda Thakur chants, isn't it? And they say Aushadhi Maya. Aushad means medicine, yeah. Actual medicine, which has long-term effect. Most powerful medicine is in relation to cultivation of spiritual knowledge. Um, yes. So Prabhupada is quoting quite extensively from Bhagavad Gita to stress and to underline how the naturally in the context of Gita Nagari, um, everyone should be familiar with the basic teachings of Bhagavad Gita and should live their lives according to the Bhagavad Gita. Another point being made is that Bhagavad Gita, this was made a few times, this point, Bhagavad Gita is not simply it's not something that is sectarian, because it is dealing with the modes of material nature, and the modes of material nature are not belonging to any particular country. Modes of material nature are universal. So that will be the real sign when when people in general, people from different religious backgrounds, can can understand the Bhagavad Gita as not a religious book, but actually as a book of knowledge, isn't it? And I think this maybe last year, or the year before, here in India, one I think prominent uh, person, maybe even a chief minister, uh, had made similar kind of statement that Bhagavad Gita actually should be introduced in in different educational institutions, regardless of one's religion, because it is a universal book of knowledge. Yeah. That is a whole that is a proper understanding actually of what is dharma. In actually in Indonesia they have um, they have a different word for dharma and religion, which you don't find in the English language. Agama. Huh? Agama means religion. So yeah. What was the last point you had read here?
I finished the verse.
Huh?
Seventh verse. After that, earth, the water, fire. Mamaya Vamsha Jiva.
Ah, that one. Correct. Yeah, that was the last one. Yeah. Prabhupada is mentioning also, that's another reason why Bhagavad Gita should be universally introduced and accepted. Prabhupada speaks about um, psychology here. You know, someone had pointed out quite some time back how if one is really interested in psychology, the best book of psychology is actually the Bhagavad Gita. Mm. So that's an additional reason why the the such places as Gita Nagari, which means actually like um, that means our temples are not meant to be simply Hindu temples. Uh, they are meant to teach these basic concepts. Yeah. So you had read the translation of Mama Vangsho, yeah. I'll just continue for a few minutes here. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, and the sky are the five principal elements of the physical world, and the mind, intelligence, and false ego are the five finer elements of the psychological world. Therefore, all sciences and arts, including the science of morality, religion, or theology, all belong to the external energy of the personality of Godhead. We should not, therefore, make an end of philosophical search here only, but we must have to enter into the realm of the internal energy of the personality of Godhead, the particles of which are manifested in the shape of living beings. The living entity is never the product of the elements of the physical or psychological elements, but it is made of a different ingredient produced from the internal energy of God. Such eternal potency is the target of the Bhagavad Gita. And if any treatment has to be done for the diseases of the human being, it has to be done from the very inception, namely from the internal potency. Such treatment only will make every living being hale and healthy. As such, the Gita Nagari has the minister, has to minister, has to minister the treatment of diseased persons, both externally and internally, as above mentioned. There is practically no hospital for the treatment of the internal potency, and Gitanagari must be very much alive to this point of view. For such internal treatment of the human being, Bhagavad Gita will always help us. And then he quotes another important verse from Bhagavad Gita. Tasmat shastram pramanam te
Tasmat shastram pramanam te
karya karya vyavastitau
karya karya vyavastitau
gyatva shastra vidhanoktam
Jnatva shastra vidhanoktam
karma kartum iarhasi.
karma kartum iharhasi.
He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination.
This was
Huh?
this was another verse. So the Yashastram Vidyam Utsalya.
Mm. Oh, I read just one. Okay, yeah, somehow. Because when it skipped. Yeah. So it's two verses that follow one another. Tasmat shastram pramanam te.
That one we read.
That's one. Oh, we didn't read the first one.
We didn't read.
Okay. Ya shastra vidim utsrijya
Ya Shastra Vidhim Utsrijya
bhartate kamakarata
Vartate Kamakarata
nasa siddhim avapnoti
Nasa Siddhim Avapnoti
na sukham na param gatim.
Na Sukham Na Param Gatim.
So the translation of this verse: he who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. Mm. And the one we didn't read. One should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. And knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. So that's an important principle that naturally that is there in the Shastra, that one should not reject or disregard Shastra, because Shastra is how we get proper understanding of things. Okay, just one more paragraph here. Whatever we may attempt to do in this world, there are some guiding authoritative books in that region. To do such things in an ordered manner or in a standardized method, we have to consult such a book of knowledge. Without consulting such a book of knowledge, if we simply follow our whims or caprices, it is not possible for us to be happy in life, neither is it possible to be successful, either in this or the next life. As such, and Prabhupada puts in capital letters to stress and underline the importance, it shall be the foremost business of Gita Nagari to chalk out its plan of action strictly on the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and nothing more or nothing else or nothing less. Nothing more or nothing less. Um, so naturally, this is an important point. That 2 points are mentioned here is that whatever we attempt to do in the material world, mm, whatever knowledge that is needed to tackle whatever it may be, uh, Prabhupada is making the point that there there are books of knowledge, there are sections. It means that there are sections in the Vedas that actually give us, just like somebody was asking in the seminar yesterday, the day before yesterday, is there are there any references to the disease of cows, how to treat cows? Uh, and well, I don't have such a book, but I know that there are um, various literatures that deal with both agriculture and that also deal with cows. In other words, the Vedic uh, literatures or Vedic knowledge is is um, is giving um, information that is needed for uh, for people to deal with the material energy or to deal with different uh, topics. The problem is that we are not um, taking advantage of that knowledge. Very often, we're not even aware of it. Yeah. And the other point that Prabhupada is making is that whatever it is we are endeavoring to do, mm, whatever plan of action we try to formulate strictly, it should be based on the teachings, basic teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. And of course, definitely that is not being done in the secular world. And even within our own, amongst ourselves, at times we are not as attentive as we should be. Okay, we are more or less, let's see, there's still a fair amount uh, left in the essay on Gita Nagari, so we'll continue tomorrow from this section. Okay. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai, Gita Nagari essay ki Jai. Hare Krishna.